You're watching the History Fella channel, and in this video we're looking at Benito Mussolini. Benito Andrea Mussolini was born on the 29th of July 1883 and would die on the 28th of April 1945. Mussolini was an Italian dictator and journalist who founded and led the National Fascist Party, or the PNF. He was Prime Minister of Italy from the March on Rome in 1922 until his deposition in 1943. As well as Duce of Italian fascism from the establishment of the Italian fascists' combat in 1919 until his summary execution in 1945 by Italian partisans. As dictator of Italy and principal founder of fascism, Mussolini inspired and supported the international spread of fascism during the interwar years. Mussolini was originally a socialist politician and a journalist at the Avanti newspaper. In 1912, he became a member of the National Directorate of the Italian Socialist Party, but he was expelled from the PSI for advocating military intervention in World War I. This was in opposition to the party's stance on neutrality, and in 1914 Mussolini founded a new newspaper, Il Popolo d'Italia, and served in the Royal Italian Army during the war until he was wounded and discharged in 1917. Mussolini denounced the PSI, his views now centering on Italian nationalism instead of socialism, and later founded the fascist movement, which came to oppose egalitarianism and class conflict instead of advocating revolutionary nationalism transcending class lines. On the 31st of October 1922, following the March on Rome, Mussolini was appointed Prime Minister by King Victor Emmanuel III. This meant he became the youngest individual to hold the office up until that time. After removing all political opposition through his secret police and outlawing labour strikes, Mussolini and his followers consolidated power through a series of laws that transformed the nation into a one-party dictatorship. Within 5 years, Mussolini had established dictatorial authority by both legal and illegal means and aspired to create a totalitarian state. In 1929, Mussolini signed the Lateran Treaty with the Holy See to establish Vatican City. Mussolini's foreign policy aimed to expand the Italian possessions and the fascist sphere of influence. In the 1920s, he ordered the pacification of Libya, instructed the bombing of Corfu over an incident with Greece, established a protectorate over Albania, and incorporated the city of Fiume into Italian state via agreements with Yugoslavia. In 1936, Ethiopia was conquered by the Second Italo-Ethiopian War and merged into the Italian East African, with Eritrea and Somalia. In 1939, Italian forces annexed Albania. Between 1936 and 1939, Mussolini ordered the Italian military intervention in Spain in favour of Francisco Franco during the Spanish Civil War. At the same time, Mussolini initially tried to retain the status quo established by World War I by sending troops at the Brenner Pass to delay Anschluss and taking part in the Treaty of Lausanne, the Lytton Report, and the Four-Power Pact and Stresa Front. However, he ultimately alienated the democratic powers, following growing opposition to Italy within the League of Nations, which he left in 1937. Now hostile to France and Britain, Italy formed the Axis alliance with Germany and Japan. The wars of the 1930s, although successful, had cost Italy enormous resources, leaving the country unprepared for the upcoming Second World War. Therefore, when Poland was invaded on the 1st of September 1939, Mussolini declared Italy's non-belligerence. However, on the 10th of June 1940, believing that Allied defeat was imminent, he decided to join the war on the side of Germany to share in the potential spoils of victory. Yet the conflict proved to be far from over. After 3 years of campaigns in France, East Africa, the Sahara, the Balkans, and the Soviet Union, the tide of the conflict had turned in favour of the Allies. Following the invasion of Sicily, an emotion of no confidence passed by the Grand Council of Fascism, King Victor Emmanuel III dismissed Mussolini as head of government and placed him in custody on the 25th of July 1943. After the king agreed to an armistice with the Allies on the 12th of September 1943, Mussolini was rescued from captivity in the Gran Sasso by German paratroopers and Waffen SS commandos led by Major Otto Harald Morse. Adolf Hitler, after meeting with the rescued former dictator, then put Mussolini in charge of a puppet state in German-occupied northern Italy. The Italian Social Republic, informally known as the Salo Republic, which served as the collaborationist regime of the Germans in their fight against the Allies, the Kingdom of Italy, now a co-belligerent of the Allies and the Italian resistance. In late April 1945, in the wake of near total defeat, Mussolini and his mistress, Clara Petacci, attempted to flee Switzerland, but both were captured by Italian communist partisans and summarily executed by firing squad on the 28th of April 1945, near Lake Como. The bodies of Mussolini and his mistress were then taken to Milan, where they were hung upside down at a service station to publicly confirm their demise.